babes, welcome back to my channel, you guys. Before we get into today's video, if you're new here, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and if you're returning, hey girl, hey. So before we get into today's video, I just want to say I asked you guys to leave me some questions for like a Q&A, getting to know me type video on TikTok, and so I'm just going to answer some of those questions that I got in tonight's video. So it is currently 10:27, so I'm going to try to do this whole video in like 20 minutes. But y'all know your girl kind of long-winded, so yeah, we not gonna ramble too much. We're gonna go ahead and get to the video. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up some of the questions that I got. So the first question I got is tips for a content creator just starting out. So my number one tip as a content creator who is just starting out is just start. Like, you have to start, because that is honestly the number one step. And don't care about what anybody thinks. Screw what everybody thinks. Do you. And also don't, like, I say, like, don't follow trends, but just be your authentic self. Like, if Target runs is not your thing, don't do Target runs. If you like Walmart, go to Walmart, because there's other people who like Walmart, and those are your people. Those are the people that you're gonna draw into your community, you know. So my number one tip is to just start, because that is the number one tip, you know. You gotta start. So somebody else asked, how did you know what you wanted in life at such a young age? Your life seems so amazing already. I just want to get your perspective on it. So I didn't want this to be like a full like story time, but that's what it's given. So when I was 14, y'all, started dating this guy, and it was crazy because I'm from a small town, he from the same small town, and our families knew each other. So every summer we would kind of like link up, like every single day. He would come to my grandma's house, I would go to his grandma's house, and we was just kind of like that. Like, we was so close. And we ended up starting dating, y'all, and then like during the summer we would be together all the time, and then during the school year he would be going back to Indiana. Mind you, Indiana is so far away from Alabama, so we was doing long distance. Like, I was doing long distance in high school, and I was being faithful, like fool, I know, but I was being faithful. So when I was 16, it was like a normal day, y'all. Like, it was, hold on, I'm gonna go on my Instagram and I'm gonna find the picture, because the picture from that day is still on my Instagram. Hold on. Okay, y'all, never mind that. I couldn't find the picture, but I wanted to insert the picture, but I couldn't find it. So maybe I'll be able to find it on my Facebook or something. But moving on, it was a normal day. It was my awards ceremony at school, and I had just got like a high GPA award and just so many things, y'all. And so at the time I had a little dog named C-Ray, which my mama had got me for my 16th birthday, because I really wanted a dog. No, for my 15th birthday, because I really wanted a dog. This happened when I was 15. Let me get my dates right. This happened when I was 15. It was 2015. Instagram, all that stuff was popping, so I was on my phone like constantly, not ever aware of my surroundings or anything. And I was a bus rider, so I got off the bus, and like for like that whole week it had been like a little white truck in a cul-de-sac. Mind you, I lived kind of like in the cul-de-sac, like this, the house in the cul-de-sac, and then my house was right here. So I lived in this house right here, and everybody in our neighborhood was pretty, you know, like close knit, so there was nothing ever really like worrisome, you know, about any cars in the neighborhood. So me, my sister, my brother got off at the house. They were in the house, you know, eating like their after school snacks and doing homework and stuff, and I went outside to walk the dog. So I got my dog on her little leash, and my head is all in my phone, you know. I'm just down in my phone, mind my business, and all of a sudden I heard like shuffle, like somebody's shoes like shuffle. And so as soon as I looked up, I saw a white older man. I'm sorry, y'all, it's still really hard for me to talk about this, even though this happened like a while ago. It's still hard for me to talk about it. But I saw a white older man, and like as soon as I saw him, before I could react or anything, mind you, we knew our neighbors and everything, so I didn't know who this man was before I could react or anything. He had covered my mouth, and he was trying to drag me, like, if I don't know, behind our house it was woods, so I don't know if it's when it was drag me into the woods or drag me like into a car that was at the street or something. I don't know, but all I know is that I was fighting, y'all. I was fighting. I was trying to scream, but he had my mouth covered and I was punching. And my grandma always watched those like murder mystery shows and stuff like that. And one thing that I learned from being at my grandma's house, if anybody ever tried to kidnap you, anything, you scratch them so that their DNA is under your nails. And so I just started scratching, clawing, biting, just doing everything like that I could to get the man off of me. And it was just crazy. I'm outside in my backyard and I'm just walking my dog and I'm being attacked. I don't know if he's gonna like kill me or something like that. So once he, I guess, knew that I was gonna put up a fight and he couldn't like get me to go where he wanted me to go, he just like restrained me and he just started raping me basically outside in the itchy grass. It was just I'm sorry y'all, it's like peeling the scab off of a wound. It's still hard to talk about, but okay. In my mind, I knew that my younger sister and brother was still in the house. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm the oldest and this is happening to me. If I don't do what he want me to do and he can't get me, he gonna go in the house, he gonna get my sister and my brother. And I was like, in my mind, I cannot let my mama lose all 3 of her kids in one day. So as I laid on the ground being assaulted and just having my innocence, my sanity stripped away from me, I kind of made amends with God. Like, okay, I accept this and I accept that this is what's gonna happen to me. And it was kind of like I made in my mind, I was like, it has to be you. Like, you're the oldest, you supposed to, you know, you're supposed to protect them. Like, it has to be you. You can't let him get to that house, get through the back double doors and get to your siblings. Like, it has to be you. If your mama gonna lose a kid, it has to be you. Like, so I had made that, like, that thought in my mind. And so I knew whenever I got like the chance that I was going to fight with all of my might. I was going to fight for my life and I was going to run. And it was like he had so much strength on top of me, but like the moment I felt him like loosen his grip on me, y'all, I started just clawing, punching, kicking, and he had covered my mouth at that time, and I started screaming for bloody murder. My neighbors at the time, they were very nice, and they usually was like always in their living room. Their living room was like kind of like right in the area where we was at, so I started screaming, hoping that they would hear me. And once he once his hand was off my mouth and I started screaming, I guess he knew, like, oh my God, like my time is running out. I gotta either take her or get the fuck out of here, you know, because obviously somebody gonna know. And so I was able to like get him off of me, kind of like enough for me to manipulate my way like freely from him. And when I got free, I took off running, y'all. So I took off running. I got in the house. I was panting and I was looking at the blinds and I like saw him taking off, and I was scrambling for my phone, and my phone and everything was still outside where I originally was. And so I ran in there where my sister was, and I got the phone from her and I called my mama because I didn't know what else to do. I called my mama, just screaming, hollering, telling her what happened. And she told me to go get the kids, go in her closet. And her closet, that's where the gun was and everything. And she told me she was gonna call 911 and she was gonna call the neighbors, and she was just telling me like, hang tight, I'm gonna be there in a minute. And so once my mama got there, she beat the police there. My stepdaddy was at work, and so was my mama. My stepdaddy worked like 30 minutes away. My mama worked like 15 minutes away. So my mama got there, she beat the police. She came in there, and the first thing she did was just hug me, and she was just crying, and I was crying. And my siblings was younger, so they didn't understand like the magnitude of everything that had just transpired and everything that was going on or whatever. And so I'm sorry, y'all. Once the police got there, they started like taking pictures, and they started getting things like there was a towel in the yard that the man had. They took the towel. They just started getting evidence and stuff, and they was trying to get a statement from me, and I was like in a state of shock. I couldn't really talk. I couldn't really focus. I just couldn't. And so the police themselves, the police took me and my mama to the hospital so that I could have a rape kit done, and then my stepdad brought my siblings and stuff. So at the hospital, they was still trying to ask me like this series of questions, and I still was like in a state of shock, and everything was kind of like foggy, and they wanted a description, and they wanted all these things that I couldn't really give them in the moment because I just couldn't register like what the free had just happened to me, you know. And so after once we were done with the rape kit, they told me that we have to go with a forensic scientist, I think is what it's called. We had to go to like a forensic scientist lab to have like photos done. They was gonna take my clothes, all kind of stuff for evidence and processing. And so as soon as like the double doors open like to the ER and they opened out to the waiting room, it was all of my family, y'all. My auntie, my grandma, my cousins, my uncles, my siblings, my stepdad, like everybody who loved me was in there, and they just all came bum rushing me, hugging on me, loving on me, praying over me. And in that moment, it finally like hit me, like the magnitude of what had happened to me. And so on the way to the forensic lab, I started remembering things and stuff. So I had a notebook, and they asked me to just write down everything or whatever. And so I did that. This was not supposed to be like a whole emotional story time, but anyways, I did that. We went to the forensic lab. They ended up taking my clothes and taking pictures of me and giving me like a whole bunch of medication and stuff like that. And then that was that. So mind you, this wasn't even the first creepy thing that ever happened at this house, y'all. Like one time before, me and my sister was sitting in our room, and we had our blinds open, and I was just laying on the floor, and I looked up, like I could see in my blinds, like they weren't all the way open, but I could see like a man standing in our blinds looking over us, and we just ran out of there screaming, hollering, and we did a police report. So this was already on file, so they were trying to see if they could correlate the two together and figure out who this man was. So after that, it was very hard for me to go back to school because I live in a neighborhood with all of my classmates. Like obviously the police went door to door asking, telling people what had happened or whatever, and the word had got out that this happened to me. And it was very, at the time, like I thought it was embarrassing because I was just like, no, I can't do this. So they wanted me to like, they gave me time off of school, but I was like, no, because my mama gotta work, and that means I would have to stay at home by myself, and I'm not doing that. So no. So I went right back to school, y'all, and it was just tough on me. So the whole time, me and this guy still doing long distance, and he knew about it and stuff, and he just acted like he cared so much. It happened in May, so mind you, that was the summertime, so we was about to get ready to start hanging out again. So when he came home for that summer and we started hanging out and stuff, I was very like standoffish. For a long time, nobody could hug me. Hugs triggered me. I had a lot of triggers simply because of the way that my assaulter, is that how you say that? Whatever. The way that he was gripping me, it was like a bear hug, and for a long time hugs triggered me, so I couldn't hug him. I couldn't do a lot of like stuff like that with him. And so one day we were sitting in my grandma's house just watching a movie, but we had a little piece that connected his phone to the TV so that we could watch a movie, because he had like jailbroke his phone, so he had all the new movies that were like in the movie theater on his phone. And so a message popped up, and it was just the confirmation that this is not the person that you need to be spending your time with. Because as vulnerable like as I was being with him and letting him know like what kind of space I'm in, I'm not in a space to be all over you. I don't want you all over me, and I don't want to do anything. Like as a teenager, young teenager like that, you shouldn't be doing sexual things anyways. But I was just letting him know like I don't want to do nothing. That was kind of like the confirmation for me when I found out this dude was cheating on me after all of the stuff that I was going through, and he knew about. Like, you couldn't like wait on me. So that was my confirmation. He had to go somewhere else, and do sexual things with someone. So that was my confirmation. And so a couple weeks later, I told him I never want to speak to him again. And I honestly meant just that. Like, I didn't want to speak to him again. I was in a space where I was healing. I was going to therapy like 3 times a week, very intensive therapy, because I was just so, I was distraught after all that stuff happened to me. And so that's when me and CJ started dating in 2017, and up front I let him know like what I had been through, and he was so patient and so kind with me. For a long time we would just hang out. We would go to Sonic and just sit in the car and eat and talk for hours. He would come to my job. I worked at McDonald's, or I worked at Crystal's when I first met him, and we would just sit down, talk. It never had to be anything sexual. If I didn't want to hug, he didn't force it. He didn't get upset. If I didn't want to kiss, he didn't get upset. And that's when I knew, like, I think this is probably my person. And so we just kind of started, like, we took baby steps. And we would we had pillows in the back of the car, in the back of his Jeep, because we would just get back there, set up with the iPad and watch movies and just really talk and get into these deep conversations and really get to know each other, y'all. And I think that's when I knew, like, this is my person. Like, this is the person that I want to be married to. And so about 5-6 months after we had been dating, he told me, I don't want to spend my life with anybody else. I don't want anybody else. I know that you are my person. You are you are going to be my wife, is what he told me. And in my mind, I'm still, you know, I'm still going through my healing journey, and I'm feeling him and I'm feeling his vibe, and I'm like, you know, I really like you. So after this, we kind of started talking about marriage and stuff, and he ended up coming home one weekend because he was already in the Navy and I was still in high school. And he had this ring, and he was like, do you want to be my wife or not? And I'm like, yeah, I want to be a wife. And we kind of sprung the idea of marriage up to our families, and nobody was hearing us. Like, nobody was hearing us. Everybody was like, y'all are crazy. And so we just went in behind their back and we did it anyways. And so for me personally, that is my perspective on how I knew, like, this man was the man for me. Like, this is who God chose for me, because prior to that I was wasting my time with someone who didn't really care for me in an authentic way. Because if you cared for me in an authentic way, and I just went through this life-changing traumatic event, and then you decide to go and cheat on me, that screams you don't give a damn about me. So that was how I knew that was not my person. And as soon as I cut ties with who I thought was not my person, God put my person right into my life, like right at the right time. And I always tell my husband, he helped heal me. Like, he healed the broken me, because he was so patient and so loving and so kind with me. So that is how I knew that I was ready. I'm sorry for ranting to y'all and turning this into a whole entire story time, but all that just had to be said. So the next question is, how do you balance being a mom, wife, and still having time for yourself? Just like this, y'all. It is 10:48. I put my kids to bed at 8:30. My kids' bedtime is 8:30, no later than 9 o'clock. That is how I get my time. I put my kids on the schedule, and then usually from like 9:15, I start my nighttime reset. I'll do all my cleaning and everything, and then my husband will go shower during that time. And after I finish my nighttime reset, I will go shower, and then usually from like 10 to 11, me and my husband will do our own thing. Like, he'll go play the game for like an hour, and I will just chill, watch a movie or edit, whatever I need to do. And then literally at like from like 11 to 1, 11 to 12, however late we feel like staying up, that's when we make time for each other. I feel like we're used to staying up late. Like, we've always been up late, so we just utilize those late hours and we spend time with each other. And I know that everybody can't stay up that late, and because everybody can't run off of 5-6 hours of sleep. I just feel like we immune to it at this point. But that is what works for us, putting our kids to bed and making time for ourselves, but also making time for each other. Like, it's 10:50, my husband is on the way home from work, and so when he gets home from work, I'm ready for him. Like, I done cleaned up, I done cooked, I done took a shower. Like, I'm ready to be all ears and hear about your day. Like, if you want to go play the game, you go play the game for an hour. When you get ready to come in here, I'm gonna be ready. You know what I'm saying? Like, we prioritize our nightly, like the late night hours, for our mental health. Basically, we prioritize those hours. And so yeah, the next question I got, what are some of your long-term goals? So some of my long-term goals would be to become a full-time content creator. That I have wanted to be a content creator, y'all, literally since I was probably like 10-12 years old. I remember just being in the camera on my iPod Touch, me and my best friend. I had a channel, it was called Zarya177. I need to see if it's still up, because the little vlogs that me and my friend used to do was so crazy, and we would just make videos of our life. And I wanted to be a content creator for so long, but it just took that like step out on faith just to finally start making the content, you know what I mean? So that's a long-term goal for me. I want to be able to live that life where if I just want to get up in the morning and go buy my husband a scat pack cash, I can. That's what I want to be able to do for my family. Like, when I think of long-term goals, it's ultimately to be like financially set for life. Like, I don't want my kids to have to want for anything, which they don't, but I just want to be able to give my kids everything that I never had plus more, you know? So long-term goals would be to be a full-time content creator. Another long-term goal for me would be to start back going to therapy, because I had went to therapy so much. I told you I was in like such like intense therapy that it literally had fried my brain. Like, I couldn't go nowhere. Like, I was like, I don't want to go no more. But therapy is good, just not for anytime you like are hurt or anytime you just are going through something. It's good to just go talk to a therapist just because, like, just because. So another long-term goal for me is to start prioritizing my health, my mental health again, and start going back to therapy. But I know it's not going to be anytime soon, because honestly our schedule is just too busy. But that is a long-term goal for me. Another long-term goal for me is to be debt-free, y'all. Like, I want that freedom. When your check hit, you have to pay your bills that you obviously did, like your power, your groceries. You have to have somewhere to stay. But I want to be debt free, like my credit cards and stuff, my car, all those stuff. I want to pay that stuff off. Like, that's a long-term goal for me. And that also brings me to the next question, which is, do I have any tips for budgeting? Y'all know I'm big on budget binder. Budget binder goes everywhere. The budget binder, everybody in my house lives by the budget binder. If the budget binder don't got the money, we can't do it. Like, we can't do it. I got that idea from Dave Ramsey. If y'all don't know who Dave Ramsey is, I highly recommend you go check out Dave Ramsey, because he is a financial advisor and he gives amazing advice. Some of it I don't agree with, but for the most part, I love me some Dave Ramsey. So if you don't know who Dave Ramsey is, I highly recommend you go check Dave Ramsey out. And that also brings me to the next question, where someone asked, how do we balance being a one-income family? And like I just said, it goes back to the budget binder and making sure you give making sure that you give every single dollar a budget, because it works. So the next question is, these lashes are itching my eyes. How do you balance healthy friendships while being in a relationship, especially if the friend is clingy? For this question, I feel like I really don't have an answer, because y'all know I don't really have friends like that. My best friend, we literally talk once a month, but when we talk, like, we catch up. I don't do all the like clinginess, but what I can say is I did have a clingy friend when we lived in Japan, y'all, and she hadn't got too clingy to the point where she was asking me to hang out with her on Father's Day. Like, I didn't have a husband and she didn't too. and I had to draw the line and tell her I have to prioritize what's in my house first. Like, you feel me? Like, I gotta put us first. Like, my husband comes before you. Like, I'm sorry, he gonna always come before you. And so I just kind of had to nicely tell her, like, I feel like as a grown-up, it's already hard to have like friendships and stuff, but that's where you just got to draw that line, and you got to let them know. You got to set boundaries, because if you don't, some people literally will go over those boundaries. Like, you got to let them know, hey, I'm a full-grown adult and I have a life, and I can't be like your accessory. Like, I can't be on your hip 24/7, and you damn sure can't be on mine. So you got to know how to draw that line. Like, you got to have that balance between friend and home. So yeah, let me see. I think I got another question that I can ask, or that I can answer for y'all. It says recording tips, and then she said she uses her back camera. So when I first started vlogging or whatever, I used my phone, and I never used my back camera because I was so afraid of what people would say, like vlogging out in public. I would just literally use my front camera, and I changed my camera settings to 4K 60 frames per second. Use the back camera. Get you a tripod that extends, and use that back camera for vlogging. Don't be scared. And honestly, if you just start on content creation on YouTube especially, you do not need a camera. All you need is your phone. This iPhone is gonna do you just fine. All you need is a phone, because honestly, the iPhone camera is like the same quality as the Sony camera that I'm filming on. Like, you don't need no camera. So don't feel like you gotta go out, buy no expensive camera. Use your phone. Use that back camera, and get you one of those little lights that clip onto your phone, so that it kind of like, you know what I'm talking, y'all know what I'm talking about, one of those little contact lights that clip onto your phone. I have one linked in my Amazon storefront, and it's always linked in my description. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, just click it. Click my Amazon storefront and click content creator essentials, and it'll be listed under there. So let me find another question. Somebody asked me how I feel about the home buying process. Honestly, this process for us so far has been very smooth. It has been very mapped out and planned out, because y'all know I am a planner. So far has been pretty smooth. Y'all know that I'm a planner. So of course, the first thing I did was I found out which builder that I wanted to go with. I say the first thing you need to do in the home buying process, go walk some models. If you want to build a home from the ground up, go walk some models. We looked at 2 specific builders, and we looked at like 8 of their different builds, and it was just one of the builders, like the quality was just better, the floor plans was just better for our specific family. So you gotta know what you want. You gotta go in there, you gotta see what you want, you gotta take videos and pictures so that you have something to reference back to when you get home and everything is clouding your brain. Like, go make time and go look. If you are just buying, I say don't settle. Even though the market is so freaking crazy right now, I say don't settle. If a house has everything you want except it doesn't have a walk-in closet and it doesn't have the big nice pantry that you want, keep looking, because you're gonna find that perfect house. You're gonna find it in the perfect neighborhood. You're gonna find it for the perfect price. I say don't settle, and just keep going. Like, people also get discouraged when their offers get turned down and stuff. Just keep going. Just keep going. Don't let nothing stop you until you got your keys in your hand in front of your house with that sign that says sold. Don't stop. Because as a 23-year-old, I never thought that I would be building my house from the ground up. But one thing I did, I told y'all, I went and walked those models, and I got a very close relationship with my realtor. Like, off the rip, even though I wasn't like automatically about to start like building like right then and there, I got a very close relationship with her, and I never felt like she was selling me a house. It just felt like she had that very like warm, welcoming vibe about her. So find your realtor you can trust, go walk the models, and figure out what you want, and put your offers in if that's what you want to do. Or if you want to build, get your pre-approval, see how much you can get approved for it, and build your houses. Build it from the ground up. I'm so excited to take y'all along with this journey, or along for this journey. So somebody asked, how do I love my postpartum body? And honestly, I just do. Like, I don't always love myself. I don't always love like the extra skin on my stomach and stuff, but that is where my husband comes into play. Like, I could be wearing a family reunion shirt where all the letters peeled off and this man still gonna want to, yeah. So he loves me unconditionally, no matter what I look like, no matter what. Like, this man loves me and he loves me for me, and he knows that this body grew and birthed 2 kids, and so he knows what comes with that. He knows you get the loose skin and stretch marks, and he will just honestly lay up and just love on me, admire me, and it just makes me love myself more. So I feel like him being super affectionate to me and towards my body and just letting me know that he appreciates my body, it helps my confidence and my self-esteem, because it's not easy loving them stretch marks. It is not easy loving them stretch marks, babe. So I think that's pretty much all of our questions that we got for this time. I didn't mean to make this like a super like emotional video, like, because in that whole story time, that's not even like, that's the gist of the story. So I don't think that it would call for like a part 2, but I didn't mean to make this like, you know, oh, you know, like that. But I just want to say I'm so thankful for all of y'all. I'm so thankful for this content journey, and I am just honestly thankful for my personal growth, because I never thought that I would be putting my life on the internet for strangers to see, because I just am so like closed off. And y'all know I just have anxiety, and I told y'all I think my anxiety is stemmed from the assault, and I'm just like a very like in my bubble type girly. Like, I just get scared and I just get nervous. But I just love y'all so much, and I appreciate all the kind words and the encouraging feedback, and that just pushes me to keep going. But yeah, if y'all want another Q&A, another get to know me type video, I would be more than happy to do that. All y'all gotta do is leave the questions down below and I will film a part 2. I love you guys so much. Camera like keep cutting off, so I don't even know what the last thing is that I said. But I'm just thankful for y'all, and I love you guys so much. If y'all want a part 2, make sure you guys leave those questions in the comments so that I can do a part 2. I love y'all, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, babes.